We often have inaccurate first impressions about who someone or what something is. And at first I thought the Lexington Arboretum was just like any other park. And while I appreciated it for its beauty, I didn't give it much thought or respect. However, as a forestry major, I was kind of curious about the Arboretum, and so I chose to do my service learning there. As I did my service learning at the Arboretum, I found out what a great organization they are and what they really provide to the Lexington community. The Arboretum State Botanical Garden of Kentucky provides free walking trails, fresh produce, and hands-on nature education to the Lexington community. Now, before I go deeper into what they provide, I'd just like to briefly explain what the Arboretum is. According to the UKY Arboretum About Us webpage, the Arboretum is a 100-acre educational and research facility in Lexington, Kentucky, and it's managed in cooperation with the University of Kentucky and the Lexington-Fayette Urban County government. Now, there are many sections throughout the Arboretum that just kind of add to its beauty. They have a 2-mile walking trail surrounded by native trees. There's a little woodland forest area. They have several gardens, including the vegetable garden, the rose garden, and the native pollinator garden. And they also have a very nature-intense playground for kids. And this just kind of adds to the beauty and diversity of the Arboretum. The first thing the Arboretum provides Lexington is a free walking trail. It's 2 miles and it's paved, and it's called the Walk Across Kentucky. And whereas most parks, they're kind of uniform throughout with their tree species composition, this walking trail is divided into 7 different regions, and it reflects the 7 different natural regions of Kentucky. Each region has different tree species. So for example, the Cumberland Mountains region has more pine and magnolia trees, and the Bluegrass region has more oak and hickory trees. There are also different native flowers in each region, and not only does this add to the beauty of the park, but also attracts native insects and hummingbirds. According to the University of California, walking in nature greatly improves our physical and mental health and reduces levels of cortisol within the body. This is very important today with all the stress from school, work, politics, things of that nature that cause stress, and everyone needs that place that they can go relax in, and I think the Arboretum is great for that, and also a great place for physical exercise. The Arboretum also provides fresh produce. According to a study done by Feeding America in 2020, over 10,000 kids in Fayette County struggle with food insecurity, and that's a big issue. And while the vegetable garden at the Arboretum is small, they are able to provide 400 pounds of vegetables to local food pantries every year. And I just think it's cool that they grow them and they donate them to the food pantries. This year they produced tomatoes, lettuce, carrots, and squash. And I had the opportunity to harvest some vegetables with them and also to weed the garden beds. And so I just think it's cool that they give back to the community in that way. And the third thing that the Arboretum provides is nature education. They have a variety of nature education programs. They have a bird watching class. They have a vegetable gardening class. And my favorite one they have is the Kentucky Children's Garden. This is that nature-intense education playground that I was talking about. There's a stream that goes through the garden for kids to play in. There's a little fish pond for them with nets to play in. There's an area for them to make mud pies. There's boulders and logs for them to climb on. There's this little Thomas the Train that goes through the garden, kind of fun to watch. But it's just a peaceful area for the kids, just to play outside in nature. It's especially good for urban kids who may not have these opportunities. And so I would just like to share with you some of my experiences at the Children's Garden. So I did service learning with them on Arbor Day. This was in October. And for Arbor Day, the Arboretum set up different tables through the garden just to give the kids extra activities to do. And so I was doing my service learning at the tree cookie necklace table. And a tree cookie necklace is basically just a slice of wood that's turned into a necklace. The kids can decorate it with stickers, markers, beads, that kind of thing. And so I'll just share with you some of the kids I interacted with, and just some of my takeaways from the experience. So the first little boy that comes over, he's like 7 or 8 years old, and he's very interested in making this tree cookie necklace. It takes like an hour and a half to do it. He was very creative, and it was just cool to watch how patient he was. And then afterwards, when he finished, he was running around the garden, and he just was having a good time. So that was cool. And then there were these 2 little girls that came over, and they enjoyed doing the craft. And during the craft, I was asking them, because I saw their hands were muddy, and so I was asking them about this. And they said that they had been making mud pies. And I thought, in the middle of the city, there's a place for little kids to make mud pies. So that's a pretty cool thing. Because nature education is one thing if you read about it in a book, or if you hear about it in the classroom, but to actually be touching nature, to be outside, really immersed in nature, is very important. And especially that moment in the children's garden, I just was kind of thinking about how before I came to UK, I was living in the country. I was able to see like deer, wild turkey out my window, and have a garden and beehives, and just like be able to run outside with my siblings, and explore the forest and things like that. And especially in that moment, like I just didn't realize like how these urban kids, they just lack these opportunities, right? Like they have very small backyards, and like many of them don't even have a backyard. And so it's a big issue that I realized that day, that like this lack of hands-on nature education, and that just greatly increased my respect for the Arboretum and for the Children's Garden, for the mission that they're doing there. In conclusion, the Arboretum State Botanical Garden of Kentucky provides free walking trails, fresh produce, and hands-on nature education to the Lexington community. And at first, I thought the Arboretum was just another park, but as I did my service learning there, I realized how much they really provide for the Lexington community, especially in fighting hunger and in promoting nature education. And so I'm very glad to have been able to help them in their mission with this. As a final, I guess, encouragement to you guys and a challenge to you guys, I strongly encourage you to go visit and support your local parks, maybe the Arboretum, maybe a different park in your hometown, because parks can often be overlooked, but they are also places. Thank you so much for your time.